Welcome back to the Deep Dives. This week, we took on a really fascinating stack of material. I mean, at first glance, you've got this spiritual self-help stuff right next to a high-performance business playbook.
It seems like they wouldn't mix.
Right. But when you put them all together, and we're talking everything from ancient indigenous wisdom to, cutting-edge performance coaching, a single mission starts to emerge.
And that is,
How do we accelerate growth? How do we maintain our purpose and really achieve high performance when the world around us is just in this state of constant, unprecedented change?
it's the perfect deep dive for right now. I keep thinking of that E.O. Wilson quote.
Oh, which one?
The one about how we're drowning in information but starving for wisdom. It really feels like that's where we are.
It really does.
So our goal today is to sort of pull you out of that flood. We want to identify those critical pieces, the wisdom, that help you become what our sources call a synthesizer.
Okay, what's a synthesizer?
It's someone who doesn't just, know a lot of facts. It's someone who can connect the right dots at the right time, process all this conflicting data, and maybe most importantly, think critically about what really matters in this new landscape.
Love that. That's the mission. So to get to that internal wisdom, we have to start with the external reality. Let's unpack these unavoidable shifts that are defining what people are calling the new normal.
We have to, because clinging to the past, that's the single biggest barrier to high performance right now.
So where do we start?
Well, our sources all agree we're living in a time defined by extremes. And when we say extremes, we mean volatility in, every sense.
You mean like climate, the economy?
All of it.
Yeah.
Climate extremes, geopolitical stuff, rapid tech shifts, a global economy that's just all over the place. And the crucial point is that these aren't temporary blips.
They're not going away.
No, they are indicators that the old world where you had these, predictable silos for countries and economies, that world is gone. This interconnected, extreme world is here to stay.
I think that's the hardest part for people to really internalize. The idea that the old normal isn't coming back. There's this psychological anchor people are throwing out, just waiting for things to settle down.
And that waiting is so costly. There's this really poignant story in the material about a little mining town in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah?
The main industry shut down, and for 9 years, people just put their lives on hold. They weren't getting married. They put off having kids. They wouldn't build new homes.
Not because they were waiting for the mines to reopen.
Exactly,
Oh.
waiting for the world to go back to the way it was. And that psychological paralysis, that clinging to a past that's gone, that is what's separating the people who are thriving today from the ones who are just struggling.
Wow. And this whole idea of a massive societal shift, it's not just a modern economic thing, is it? It's an ancient wisdom, too.
It is. We looked at the indigenous perspective of the Caros from the Andes in Peru. They have this concept called Pachacuti. It literally means the turning of a cycle.
Mm.
They teach that the old age ended back on August 1st, 2012. We are now, officially, in what they call the age of meeting ourselves again.
An age of transformation, then. So if the external world is just permanently volatile, then our internal measure for success has to change too, right?
It has to.
The old idea of resilience, just bouncing back, it feels a little, insufficient.
It is insufficient. If you're just bouncing back, you're always returning to a state that's, it's constantly under threat. The old resilience was reactive. It was about recovery after a shock, like rebuilding after Hurricane Sandy hits.
Okay, so what's the new resilience?
The new resilience is the ability to think and to live every single day in a way that allows you to thrive within these changing conditions. It's not waiting for the storm to pass. It's about building a boat that can sail on rough seas all the time.
So you adapt your internal systems to the external reality.
You have to.
That sets us up perfectly for the internal shift, the toolkit we need. And the primary tool, it seems, starts with reclaiming total agency over your own internal state.
Yes, and this is where Jim Quake's work is just so essential. He talks about turning the nouns in your life into verbs.
Okay, let's break that down. It sounds simple, but I have a feeling it's a big deal.
It's huge. Most of us think about things like energy or focus or memory as nouns, things you either have or you don't have.
Like, I have no energy today, or I just lack focus.
Precisely. But when you turn them into verbs, you don't have energy, you generate energy. You don't have focus, you do focus. It immediately puts you back in the driver's seat. You're no longer this passive recipient of your state. You're the active creator of it.
I really like that because it puts agency front and center. And the foundation for all of this, according to the limitless model, isn't some fancy strategy. It's just mindset. It's what you believe about yourself.
Exactly. The foundational belief is that your mindset dictates everything. It's that old saying, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. The most common trap here is something called learned helplessness.
That sounds heavy. Can you unpack that with that metaphor from the book?
Of course! It's the story of the elephant tied to a tiny stake. When it was a baby, it was tied with a heavy rope and it learned it couldn't break free. It learned its limitation.
But now it's a huge, powerful adult.
Right, and it's tied to a little wooden stake it could just pull out of the ground, but it doesn't even try. It still believes the limitation is real. So when we say, oh, I'm just not good at remembering names, we're being that elephant. The sources are so clear on this. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Wow, that is stark. Which brings us to the most fundamental internal programming language we have. The two shortest, most powerful words. I am.
They really are. Your brain is a supercomputer, and whatever you put after I am becomes the code. It dictates your identity and your destiny. So if you're constantly typing in, I'm not good at public speaking, or I am bad with money, you're giving your brain explicit instructions not to succeed.
So how do you start to change that programming if a belief is really deep-seated?
One of the simplest tools is just to add the word yet. I'm not good at remembering names. Yet.
Yeah.
That one little word cracks the door open. It creates possibility.
Okay, so we've reclaimed agency. We're rewriting our mindset. The next step is applying that energy effectively. And this leads us right to Dan Sullivan's idea of unique ability and 10x thinking.
Yes, and this is so critical for performance in this new world because it's the antidote to complexity and distraction.
How so? I mean, most people hear 10x and they just think work 10 times harder, which sounds awful.
It's the exact opposite. Sullivan's point is that 10x better has to come before 10x bigger. And to get 10x better, you have to go deep, deep, deep into the one thing you are uniquely brilliant at.
So it simplifies things by forcing you to focus.
Radically. Instead of trying to be okay at 1,000 things, you pour all your energy into your core genius. You stop doing the things you're just competent at, and you ruthlessly delegate or eliminate the things you're bad at.
How do you identify that?
He gives us 4 categories of activity. First is incompetence. This is stuff that just drains your energy and you get bad results. Think of a brilliant painter trying to do their own accounting.
Okay, I can picture that.
Second is competence. You can do it, maybe even do it well, but you have no passion for it. It drains you. Third is excellence. You're great at it, you get paid well for it, but it still feels like effort.
And the fourth one, unique ability. That's the goal.
That's the zone. It's the activity where time just seems to disappear. You get breakthrough results without feeling like you're forcing it. You actually gain energy from doing it. For some people, that's being front-staged with clients. For others, it's deep backstage strategic planning. The energy tells you where your 10x focus should be.
So we've got the external reality, the internal agency, the focused belief. Now we need the fuel for that engine. And that's purpose. That's purpose and self-love.
This is where we have to look at the difference between operating out of what you perceive as a need versus what you genuinely want.
Society's all about need, isn't it? I need this job.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to do this.
And every time you say, I have to, you're giving up a little piece of your freedom. You're building resentment. Real, true purpose that comes from choosing from the inside, doing something because you want to.
You choose the effort.
You choose the challenge. When you truly believe you're doing something because you have to, you aren't free. And that lack of freedom will always, always cap your performance.
There was that beautiful rewording of the golden rule in one of the sources.
Yes. It was something like, you should want constantly increasing freedom for yourself and also want that exact same thing for every other person. It's such a holistic view.
And this purpose isn't something you go out and find, right? The sources say it's already built into you.
It is. It's already there.
So why do so many of us feel so disconnected from it?
Because getting to it often requires what one source called the great undoing. It means you have to face the limiting beliefs, the pain, the flaws you inherited. Think of it like a leaky roof in a house you inherited.
You didn't cause the leak, but it's your problem now.
Exactly. You can't just sit there getting rained on saying it's not my fault. You have to do the work to find the leak and patch it. That's the great undoing. You have to repair those inherited flaws before your authentic purpose can really shine through.
And that undoing process, I mean, that sounds tough. It requires a really solid foundation of self-acceptance.
Self-love is the absolute prerequisite. But our subconscious hates change, even good change. It wants to keep us safe and static, so it puts up all this resistance.
And it shows up in weird ways, right? Like not just a big no,
Yeah, in really trivial ways. It can be that inner know-it-all voice that says, I already know this, so you just tune out. Or you literally start zoning out. Or you get preoccupied with tiny discomforts. The room is too cold. This chair is uncomfortable. That's all just resistance.
So how do we start to work with that resistance? It was a really simple tool mentioned, mirror work.
This is from Louise Hay, and it is so powerful because it's so simple. The practice is just, you go to a mirror, you look yourself directly in the eyes, which is harder than it
Oh,
sounds.
it's incredibly vulnerable.
It is, and you just say, I love you, I really love you.
I could hear people thinking that sounds silly or, I don't know, embarrassing.
And that feeling, the cynicism, the embarrassment, that is the resistance. That's the subconscious trying to stop you. But if you stick with it just for a couple of weeks, you start to feel this softening inside. You become less judgmental of yourself. You're actively healing the most important relationship you'll ever have.
So self-love isn't the reward for success. It's the starting point, which leads to this ultimate choice.
Yeah.
Making feeling good your priority.
Right. And not just, fleeting happiness, but feeling aligned, at peace. When that is your priority, you naturally do more good in the world. You become a magnet for positive things instead of acting out of guilt or obligation, which just breeds resentment.
That idea of being a magnet brings us perfectly to the deeper mechanics of all this, the vibrational nature of success.
Yeah, we have to touch on the framework from Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks. The core idea is that the universe doesn't hear what you say, your words. It hears how you feel, your vibration.
So if I'm saying I am wealthy, but I feel terrified of being broke,
The universe is responding to the terror, not the words. The feeling is the signal. Your emotions are your guidance system.
Yeah.
Source energy, that flow of well-being and inspiration is always there, but you have to be in the right vibrational vicinity to receive it.
the high-flying disc, as they call it.
Exactly. When you feel bad, anxious, angry, doubtful, you're just not on the right frequency to get the good stuff. You've cut yourself off from what your highest self knows is true for you.
The practical application of this, then, is that you have to be the architect of your own internal state.
You have to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer just reacts to the room. A thermostat sets the temperature and the room adjusts to it.
Give me a real-world example of that.
Okay, you're stuck in horrible traffic. You're going to be late for a massive meeting. The thermometer response is immediate anger, stress, yelling at other cars.
Been there.
We all have. The thermostat response is to acknowledge the reality, feel the flicker of annoyance, but then deliberately choose a different internal state. You set the temperature. I choose to be calm. I'll use this time to review my notes. You set your vibration, and the world responds to that.
And this disciplined alignment, this is what one source called the missing piece for success.
It is. The missing piece is your spirit, your intuitive awareness. You can have all the best business plans and strategies in the world, but as one source put it, none of that will do one thing for you if you think that they're going to work more for you than you're going to work for yourself. You have to activate that partnership with spirit.
And that activation really comes down to answering one question, doesn't it?
It all boils down to, who am I? Or maybe, who are we? How we answer that question changes everything. Do we see ourselves as separate and limited or as connected and powerful? Your purpose, your spirit, it comes through stillness, not through more frantic effort.
So what this deep dive has really shown is that navigating this new world, it demands this relentless commitment to our own internal alignment, self-acceptance, active belief, and channeling that into your unique ability. It's the only sustainable path.
And it's more urgent than we think. The sources suggest the true crisis we face isn't a lack of resources. They point out that the big problems, world hunger, clean energy, they're already solved technologically. The solutions exist.
If the solutions are here, then what's the problem?
The problem is a crisis in thinking. It's the old 300-year-old assumption that we are all separate, that life is about competition and conflict, that obsolete thinking is the barrier. New science and ancient wisdom shows us that the foundation of nature is actually cooperation and mutual aid. The solutions are here. We're just mentally blocked from implementing them.
Okay, so here's our final provocative thought for you to chew on. If the solutions are already here, are you willing to let go of that old story of separation, the story of lack and competition that keeps you feeling safe but ultimately stuck? Are you willing to embrace a cooperative reality so those solutions can finally show up in your own life and in the world? Start by setting your own internal thermostat.
Until next time, keep synthesizing that wisdom.